Well, to answer your question, we definitely do care. I come from a third-generation farm and a beef farm in southwest Saskatchewan, so we know exactly some of the struggles you're going through. In this very committee, we had the agriculture minister here, and I asked him point blank, who did you talk to about the capital gains increase before the budget? And I asked him twice, and he finally admitted he couldn't talk to anyone because he did not know that the capital gains increase was in the budget. My question is for the Dockery family. The Minister of Agriculture is from PEI. Has he talked to any producers about the capital gains increase since it was announced? And who do you think he's actually listening to?
I'll answer that. To my knowledge, no. He certainly never contacted us, but he certainly never contacted us on the seed issue. Now, he may have had a meeting in a phone booth maybe with a few locals. I don't know. He's also went on record as saying that people he's talked to think the carbon tax is a great thing. Now, I'd really like to meet them people. They're obviously not farming. So you can take that all with a grain of salt.
And Logan, you mentioned the capital gains is probably one of the biggest hurdles to young farmers. To your knowledge, has the minister or anyone consulted with young farmers in PEI about how the capital gains increase is going to affect the intergenerational transfer of a family farm?
As far as I know, there hasn't been a single meeting with any young farmers of PEI. There hasn't been any reaching out to our Malpec, our MP for Malpec, or not ours, but the MP. Unfortunately, it gets back to my question is, do they really care? And if they don't, because they're all going to have a cushy pension, then why would they worry about us?
This probably won't make you feel better, but you're not alone in not being listened to. I have a press release from the government of Saskatchewan, and on August 9th, at the federal, provincial, territorial meetings of agriculture ministers across the country, 7 ministers, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Manitoba, all the provincial ag ministers asked for this to be reversed because it does nothing to help the agriculture sector in our country. So you're not alone in this, agriculture minister, not listening to anyone in the sector. I'm going to shift to the grain growers. You do have some documentation. If you have any other documentation, I'd love for you to table it for this committee when it comes to capital gains. But I just wanted to read one of the line items you have here is, before June 25th, the capital gains tax would have been $3,020,000. After June 25th, on an average farm in Saskatchewan, the capital gains payment went up to $3.9 million, an increase of $924,000. Do you think any farm can withstand that hit and actually make the next generation viable in farming in Saskatchewan or any other province?
No, absolutely not. As we know, and as the Dohertys certainly know, young farmers are already facing millions of dollars in debt to have to take over their family farms. And what I said in my opening remarks when I mentioned that the government has moved the goalpost for those young farmers, they've moved the goalpost by either $900,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. It depends the size of your farm and your operation, obviously. But most farmers across the country are going to face a very much higher capital gains tax bill at the time of succession.
I'll move back to the Dohertys for a second because I just had it's a simple question. Over the last 9 years of this Liberal government, can you think of one agriculture policy that they've implemented that's helped the family farm?
I certainly can't. I guess my mind gets boggled with the fact that our federal government last year gave $15.5 billion away, not to Canadians, but to other countries. But yet, we got farmers struggling. We're feeding the country, and there's absolutely no recognition for that. And I don't know of a thing they've done, but they've pretty well destroyed anything they touched. And I'm speaking especially on behalf of the seed potato growers in Prince Edward Island.
You said your costs have gone up by about 20% just because of the carbon tax. Can you share with the committee how much you've got back in rebates in the carbon tax?
Absolutely none. Zero. Like, I just don't get it. The problem with the carbon tax, it's hidden. We have no idea. Like, I'll give you an example. I bought a Baron for my potato digger this fall, $180. Well, how much of that, or how many times did carbon tax get put on that Baron from the cardboard that was packaged in the plastic? We have no idea. So we just know it's 20%, and over the next 5 years, like, what's your cost going to go up 100%? There's 2 million people going to the food banks now. Like, what do they want? 50% of the country starving to death?
Thanks for that. Mr. Larkin, you've done some numbers when it comes to the carbon tax as well. Can you tell us what it's going to cost the grain growers across the country when the carbon tax is fully implemented by 2030?
Yeah, great question. I don't have the numbers with me right now, but the research that we just did through the Agricultural Carbon Alliance found that the average grain farmer is paying right now around $18,000, and that's going to increase obviously exponentially going into 2030. And so throughout the life of the carbon pricing scheme, we see individual farmers paying upwards of $400,000, which could be rather spent on more innovative technologies such as the most innovative grain dryers that exist today.
How much would be getting back?
That's time. I'll let Mr. Larkin answer that later, perhaps. Now